So I emailed Trump and wanted to be on the podcast, and I have not heard back yet. And
Big surprise.
You want his number?
Yeah.
So whenever you put stuff out, you got to be real careful what you put out joke wise, because like if I tell you all my jokes and you come to see me, well, I put all my jokes out and then you come to see me and you've already heard all of them, you're not gonna have a good time. You know?
Right.
So like most of the jokes that I release are stuff that are kind of
Generic?
no, like they're limited. Like the Beyonce joke, that song's not even relevant anymore. Like
That's true.
And then I have a Trump joke I really want to put out, but I'm waiting. I'm gonna put it out before the election, but I'm waiting because if Trump gets elected, it's not gonna be as funny.
So I emailed Trump and wanted to be on the podcast, and I have not heard back yet. And
Big surprise.
You want his number?
Yeah.
But and I put out another joke. Oh, I put out a joke about LeBron's son. I don't know if y'all heard that one or not. I was like, LeBron's son's in the NBA with him. He's having a hard time fitting in, not because he's getting any special treatment or nothing, but it's because he's one of the few guys in the NBA that knows his father. And it's like that joke's not always gonna be funny.
I think that will always be funny.
I think that'll always be funny. I don't think that joke's about the NBA.
It comes from a place of pain. I don't know my dad's. One of my favorite things to say is like when I'm dealing with, service employees of some sort, I'll be like, if something's going wrong, like, do you know who my father is? And people usually get like, no, and I don't care. And I'm like, oh.
Neither do I.
Yeah, neither do I. I was hoping you did. Fuck my bad.
Can you introduce me?
The cops don't like that one.
Do you think you'll go back on, Gil Tony?
I've signed up a couple times. I hope I go back on one day.
It's all about the name out of the hat.
Yeah, it's a random luck of the draw, unless you get like a golden ticket or something like that.
So what is golden ticket?
That means you can come back anytime you want.
So you gotta
you got
really
one of
kill
those,
it.
right?
No, so I got like a bronze ticket. Like he said, come back again. And, they know how to get a hold of me. If they wanted me on, they would have me on.
Yeah.
I think I understand it too. Like, that was my first time doing stand-up. You don't want to take a chance and go all in on a guy and be like, hey, you can come back whenever you want. This guy hasn't paid any dues.
Yeah.
He hasn't put any time in. I don't even know how much he's working on comedy, to be honest, So I get it, like the hesitancy to like not allow someone or not give someone such a big platform to just thrive on.
Right.
I'm ready for it. I take comedy very serious. I do as many shows as I can. I'm writing jokes every day.
Where is your goal to end up?
My goal, I meet so many comedians. I've met hundreds and hundreds of what we call open micers, people that are doing open mics, not necessarily getting invited to do shows or whatever. So we're at the similar level where, hey, we're just trying to, learn.
Get the big break.
We're learning how to, well, not even that. We're learning how to crawl at this point. Like professional comedians like Shane Gillis, that dude can run marathons. I'm learning how to crawl over here.
Mm-hmm.
So I meet a lot of these open mic comics, and a lot of them are focused on being famous.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dude, your heart's in the wrong place, because the even if you have a hunger, your hunger's for fame, not for comedy.
Right.
So you'll take an avenue like if you can get famous, making dumb TikTok videos, you'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm working on comedy,
Mm-hmm.
and getting famous is not the goal. The goal for me is if I can make a living off comedy, paying my bills and
Doing something you're gifted at and that you enjoy.
And make a living off doing that. Even if that's only making $50,000 a year doing comedy, that's still, in my book, would be a success.
So your passion's more comedy than as agriculture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say I love horses. Horses, I've dedicated most of my life to horses so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I love them, but I don't want to be a horse trainer. I don't want to be a rodeo guy. I don't want to be a trainer or nothing,
Mm-hmm.
If I could have money for horses in the future, that'd be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to spend the rest of my life hauling horses now.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, I thought I was passionate about hauling horses until I found comedy. Now I'm like, oh, this is my thing. This is for me. This is what I want.
Is there just one place that you've always wanted to do stand-up at?
I've never took it serious until recently. So, I'll take any venue I can get. To be honest.
How much like research did you put into when you first started, thinking about like, okay, I'm gonna give this stand up thing a try. Like, how much did you get on Google and you're like, okay, I need to start writing jokes? What?
I don't think there's any research. I'd been watching Kill Tony for a while, and I was kind of seeing what worked and what didn't.
Yeah.
So I wrote these jokes. I was saying I wrote all these jokes. And the problem is with people that have never done stand-up or not very good at stand-up or pretty new to it or whatever, they have a lot of fat on their jokes. So like, I walked in this room and then I sat down in this chair and I put my arms on the table.
Harrison has a lot of fat on his jokes.
They don't, which is fine.
It takes Harrison half an hour to get to a punch sometimes.
Which is fine if you have time for it. But like on that, you have 1 minute.
Yeah,
so you gotta
imagine that.
Imagine every single word costs you $1,000. How much money you got? How many words can you use? That you try to think like that, you know?
Yeah.
And so I wrote these jokes, and I was like,
"Did you time yourself at all?"
After a while, but at first, I'm like, "All right, let me write these jokes and let me trim them down." And then you're like, "Oh, this is a 15-second joke." It went from a minute to 15 seconds. All right, let's write another one. And you just try to be as efficient as possible with every word you have. And so that's what I started working on. And I got that, and I was like, "All right, I think I have a minute's worth of I had a couple minutes worth of material."
Right.
I think out of all that, you can get 1 good minute out of it for that scenario. And that's what I did. And it worked out. I feel like I didn't waste too many words on my jokes.
I thought you did great.